Hey y'all, welcome back. So for today's video, I'm going to be talking about concealer and under eyes and how to prevent your under eyes looking dry and crackly and keep them from looking 100 years old if you are a little bit older, because now that I've hit 30, something has changed and I've had to change the way I do my concealer. So I'm going to give you some of my tips and tricks to a flawless under eye for a little bit more mature skin. And yeah, I hope that you will like this video. If you do, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, and if you would like, click subscribe before you leave so that you don't miss any of my videos and you can see everything. And if you're new here, then welcome. My name is Shay and thanks so much for joining me today. Alright, yeah, I think that's everything. Let's get into the video. Okay, so two things. I cut my hair off really short. Well, I mean, I didn't cut it. My best friend cut it, who is my hairstylist. And the second thing is I have a cool chicken shirt. It says life is better with chickens. If you didn't know, I love my chickens very much. They're fun. So, alright, enough of that. Let me just give you a little bit about my under eyes and what kind of situation we have here. Okay, so now that I'm 30, you know, I've got a little age on me. I love 30. I'm embracing it. My under eyes have become very, very dry, and I also have a little bit of these little creases, these little fine lines, and especially when I smile really big, I get little crinkles, little, you know, little lines under there. That's normal. It's a normal part of aging, and we just deal with it as it comes, right? But I can no longer slap tons of concealer under my eye, pack on the powder, and bake it. Because I realized a little while back when I was doing that, I would wipe it off and it would just look like a desert under my eyes. It would look like I was 100 years old, and I hated it. I was like, why do my under eyes look so bad? So I kind of changed the way I did things, and I've started trying other things, and I came across a couple of videos. I'm going to recommend two people to you. The first one is C-Tango. She has a video about concealer for the mature under eye, and then the other one is Stephanie Marie. She does a lot of YouTube tutorials and videos on more mature skin, and you know, little tips and tricks to get the most and make your skin look the most beautiful and keep it looking plump and youthful rather than like dry and crinkly. So that is what I'm going to share with you after watching them and trying this routine for a little while. I have found that it really works good for me, and I'm loving the way my under eyes look. They don't look dry anymore and have all these like just that desert crepey like appearance. So I'm going to share this with you. And I know I'm not mature, and no, my under eyes aren't that mature with the skin, but I can see, you know, I'm past that 22-year-old under eye, and now I'm moving into that more mature under eye. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So the first thing I'm going to recommend is get a good under eye moisturizer, or just some kind of under eye moisturizer. The reason I use an under eye moisturizer rather than just my facial moisturizer under my eyes is because this skin is very different from the rest of my skin on my face, and it's more delicate. So I like or prefer eye creams that are targeted for the under eye area. And I get a really hydrating one. At nighttime I ise one that's more oh my gosh. At nighttime I use one that's heavier and more a heavier cream. I use a heavier cream at night. So for the day, I still go for something that's pretty moisturizing, but maybe not quite as heavy as what I use at night. And what I've been using lately is the Drunk Elephant C-Tango Multivitamin Eye Cream. This is a new product. Oh Lord, these are so janky. Okay, this was a newer product for them. It is a vitamin C, but it is also a moisturizer. It has a lot of peptides and anti-aging properties in here, and I find that it is like the perfect consistency to layer on the day and then layer my makeup over the top of. So I usually do that very first step in the morning. Once that kind of sinks in a little bit, then what I do is I grab a little tiny drop of my Marula oil. So this is going to be something that really hydrates the skin, really plumps it, and keeps it moisturized. So I just take like the tiniest, what I do is I pull the dropper, and wipe the side of the stopper, because I just want just the tiniest bit. And so I just pat it under my eyes. By the way, I have my whole face done except for my under eyes. And I just pat it on under there, and like I said, just the smallest amount. And then sometimes I'll take my damp sponge and just kind of press it in. This is what C-Tango does, and this is where I got that from. So then I kind of give that a few seconds, like a minute or two, to kind of set in. One reason that your under eyes may look crepey and desert-like is because they are dry. They need hydration, they need moisture. So moisturize them and your under eyes will thank you. They will look smoother and plumper and help your concealer and your makeup look so much better. So if you are struggling with the under eyes and them being dry, get you a good moisturizer or even try an oil. Okay, so the next product we're going to grab is some concealer. Not all concealers are created equal, okay? Not all concealers work good for more mature, I'm going to say, what can I call this? Not more mature, beginner mature under eyes. That means when they are beginning to get mature, where maybe we haven't hit mature skin yet, but we're getting there. So like I said, there are different concealers. Some concealers are very hydrating. Some are on the more matte side. Tarte Shape Tape for me can be a little bit drying. So I like to mix it. One drugstore concealer that I really love that is nice and hydrating is the Maybelline Age Rewind. This one gives good coverage and it really hydrates. It doesn't dry out or sink and settle into those little creases. And then I also really like the Mercier, I'm just dropping everything, the Mercier Flawless Fusion Concealer. This one is really good and hydrating as well. Also, a new one I've been trying out, and I did a whole video dedicated to Flower Beauty. I will link it down below. This is the Flower Light Illusion Full Coverage Concealer. This one is also very hydrating and also at drugstore pricing. So those are a couple options for you if you're looking for something. If you are looking to color correct, if you have really dark circles and you want to do a little bit of color correcting, this is where we would do that step. So we put our moisturizer on, it's set in, we got our oil down, it has set in. Now what I would do is go in with a little bit of a color corrector. This is the Becca Under Eye Brightening Concealer. This one is very emollient. I was doing it right. So this one is pretty emollient and it's also not going to dry the under eyes out. So what I do, you just want to get where the darkness is. You don't want to put a color corrector all the way under your eyes. So for me, that's right up here in this corner. And I kind of like drag what's left over this away. And you can already see, I don't know if you can tell, but I can tell the difference just from that little tiny dab. Like I barely stick my finger in it. So once you got your color corrector down, then you're going to go in with your concealer. Now my tip for this is don't do your concealer like a YouTuber or like an Instagrammer. I personally, for me, I can't go in and coat my under eye with concealer because it kind of cakes up and then it settles and it just doesn't look good for me. So if you are dealing with these problems that I have with my under eyes, I'm going to recommend to you, don't use a ton of product. So I'm going to just grab a little bit of this Flower Beauty. No, I think I'm going to go actually with the Age Rewind. Let's go with it. So I'm going to take it, clip it up a little bit, and I'm just going to take and put a little dab like that up in the corner. And I'm just going to dot a little bit. So it looks like I have a lot on, but with this little sponge, it's just the way it drags. So if I had a doe foot applicator like this, I would just put maybe 3 or 4 dots and start with that and see if you can get enough coverage with that. Or, you know, if you can get what you want under your eyes with that before you go straight in with a whole applicator full. So then this is what I like to do. I take my hydrating primer mist from Hard Candy and I spritz my sponge a little bit more. And then I'm going to go ahead and blend this out. Alright, so I have my concealer blended out. It's looking really good. My under eyes are still looking hydrated and not dry. So what I like to do is I give it just a second because my creasing usually happens right after I put it on. So I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of slightly tap out any creasing I may get. And for me, it's always right here, right there under my eyes, pretty close to the inner corner. Alright, the next step, I got something in my eye. The next thing is setting your under eye. I just mentioned earlier that I can't bake anymore because baking sucks the life out of my under eyes. It makes them look terrible. I look like that thing off of Tales from the Crypt and I'm just like, and I can't do it anymore. So I'm going to take a powder. I got the Mercier. Some powders are very mattifying. Some are not as mattifying and a little bit more hydrating, kind of, I would say. So I'll try to do a video eventually on best under eye setting powders. The Laura Mercier is actually really good. I really like it. This small little fluffy brush, I'm not going to set my whole entire under eye because that leads to the dry look. So I'm just going to get a little bit on my brush, just coat it lightly, and I'm going to pop this right where I crease, which for me is right up here in this inner corner area. And I'm just going to lightly set that. So there wasn't much on my brush, but it's enough to do the job. It kind of keeps it from creasing, but it's not all over my under eye and making it look dry and crepey. So once I have that set, that is pretty much all I do. I don't set the rest, all of this part here. Sometimes what I may do is very, very lightly grab this Hourglass, what is this, the ambient lighting powder. This is in Luminous Light, and I use this to set my whole face with, is like a finishing powder, because it gives me this really pretty luminous look. So sometimes I might just very lightly tap that on under my eyes, and it kind of helps give them that little bit of illumination under there. But I don't bake and I don't set a ton of powder under there. If I ever do put more powder under there, I like just kind of stamp a little bit like that, but I don't bake. I don't pack it on. I don't bake. I'm telling you, it looks terrible. I'm gonna do a picture maybe where I bake one under eye and then don't on the other, and show you how much of a difference it makes. So let me see if I can zoom in and give you a close-up shot of my under eye. Okay, so we're a lot closer now. Hello. And you can see, let me figure it, that they look pretty smooth. I know the lighting, I can't turn it down anymore though. They still look really hydrated and plump. Even when I smile, you can see I have a few lines. It's hard to see with the light, but they don't look crinkly and crepey. So I've been really happy with this routine. Okay, and one final trick that I have for you for under eyes, if you have put too much powder on under there and they're looking a little dry and crackly, this trick might help, because I've done this and it really changes them and plumps them back up and makes them not look so dry. Take something like the Tatcha Luminous Dewy Skin Mist, and then even the Hydrating Primer Mist from Hard Candy would work. But I really like this Morphe sponge for this because of this flat part right here. It really like gets under the eye. But what I like to do is spray a little spritz on there and then just stamp it right underneath my eye, and that spray will re-moisturize and rehydrate the under eyes and make them look great again. So that is all of my tips and tricks for my beginner mature under eyes, and how I keep them from looking super dry, and all the things I've already described them as, and it keeps them looking good, and it makes me happy that they don't look old and dry like I'm 100 years old. So I hope that this video helps you. I hope that you learned something from this video. Let me know if you like this content. Let me know if you try any of these tips. And yeah, I think that's everything, guys. Thanks so much again for watching. Don't forget that you can also follow me on all of my other social media, Facebook, Snapchat, and Twitter. I don't do much on Twitter, but everything will be down below in the description box. So yeah, I guess that's all. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!